Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Farouk Ahmed resigns as Managing Director of NMDPRA amid corruption allegations by Dangote Group Chairman Aliko Dangote, while Gbenga Komolafe also steps down as Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. United States announces new partial travel restrictions on Nigeria and other countries effective January 2026, cites security concerns, vetting challenges, and insufficient information sharing. President Bola Tinubu writes Senate requests repeal and reenactment of 2024-2025 Appropriation Acts for expedited approval. Russian President Vladimir Putin lashes out at Ukraine's European allies, warns Russia will seize territory by force if necessary.
On business news, Nigeria Customs begin penalty enforcement against designated banks over failure to remit revenue within agreed timelines.
On sports news tonight, former Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa announces his retirement from international football.
And from the nation's capital, Adamawa State Governor Umar Fintiri visits communities affected by a recent communal crisis, announces plans to establish a judicial panel of inquiry into the December 8 alleged shooting of protesting women.
We begin tonight with explosive developments in Nigeria's oil sector leadership. The Managing Director of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Mr. Farouk Ahmed, has resigned amid corruption allegations from Dangote Group Chairman Mr. Aliko Dangote. At the same time, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe has stepped down as CEO of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. President Bola Tinubu has already sent two nominees to the Senate for confirmation, Mr. Orishemeyiwa Eshes Eyesan and for NUPRC and Saidu Mohammed for NMDPRA. According to a statement by the presidential spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, both nominees are seasoned professionals in the oil and gas industry. Hours before resigning, Mr. Farouk Ahmed visited the State House in Abuja, spending less than 30 minutes with the president and declining comments to journalists. His exit follows Mr. Dangote's petition to the ICPC, accusing the former NMDPRA boss of financial impropriety and extravagant spending, including spending for four of his children in expensive schools in Switzerland. The resignation marks a major shakeup in Nigeria's petroleum regulatory sector, and the Senate is expected to act swiftly on the new appointments. Come January the 1st, 2026, several African countries will be officially barred either fully or partially from traveling to the United States as President Donald Trump's administration expands its immigration travel list. While Nigeria has been added to that list, the expanded list of countries partially restricted from the travel. Others include Angola, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Gabon, the Gambia, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Senegal, and Mauritania. The White House says the ban is intended to protect the security of the United States. On its website, the Trump administration says that Nigeria is on the list because of radical Islamist terrorist groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State freely operating in certain parts of the country, which according to them creates substantial screening and vetting difficulties. Another reason for the ban of many of these countries is the overstay of visas, and the White House states that Nigeria had a B1, B2 visa overstay rate of 5.56% and an FM and J visa overstay rate of 11.90%. These visa categories from next year will be suspended for new applications under the partial travel restriction B1, B2 tourist and business visa, F academic student visa, M vocational student visas, J, exchange visitor visas, immigration visas, and permanent residence also generally restricted without special waiver. Meanwhile, full entry restrictions are being imposed on citizens from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, and Syria, as well as Palestinian Authority passport holders. And just as expected, that announcement of the partial U.S. ban on Nigeria has stirred conversation among Nigerians in the country and in the United States. While a lot of uncertainty hangs in the air about its implementation, Nigerians are now looking forward to more clarity from the Trump administration in the coming days. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, reports.
From January 1st, Nigerians headed to the United States will or will not experience difficulty entering the country. That's because of the U.S. partial visa ban imposed on Nigeria. The new restriction bars entry for Nigerians seeking to enter the U.S. as green card holders or on B1, B2, B1B2, F, M, and J visas. This was contained in a proclamation by the White House late Tuesday evening. The U.S. highlighted the operations of radical Islamist groups in Nigeria, the persistent security crisis, and visa overstay as reasons for its decision. There are over 400,000 Nigerians in the United States, a large chunk of them found in America's healthcare sector. President of the Nigerian Physicians Advocacy Group, Dr. Susan Ediowe, says the partial ban upsets not just travel plans for many Nigerians in the U.S., but also the status of those living in the United States.
I think there's a lot of disappointment and a lot of anxiety about this issue. I think some of the disappointment, especially within the United States from the Nigerians who are here, is the fact that as a community, we contribute so much to this country. You know, a physician organization, a physician myself, some studies show that over 52% or more of Black physicians in the United States are Nigerian. Nigerian-born Americans who are here, over 65% of them are bachelor degree holders. The Nigerian-American household has over, I don't remember the exact percentage, but higher median home income than the United States average. We are a very hardworking and highly educated workforce. So the disappointment is, it's palpable because it's like, you know, well, what else do we have to do? And that's a real concern.
Council member, Economic Summit Group, Dr. Gbenga Adeoye, says the partial ban depicts American economic interests, which President Donald Trump is trying to protect.
The U.S. restriction on 15 additional countries on this proclamation 10949 is basically to protect the United States. But again, one cannot rule out the fact that the U.S. is after something, and that is economic collaboration.
President Trump's partial ban is the culmination of a change of visa policy towards Nigeria. In early July, the Department of State reduced visa validity parameters for many non-immigrant visas issued after that date to 3 months and only single entry. A recent designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern last month was a reflection of the U.S. perception of Nigeria's security challenges. The Nigerian federal government has been working with American officials to deal with the challenges. They're hoping for good success along the way. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has forwarded the Appropriation Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2025 to the Senate for consideration and passage. In a correspondence read out by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary today, President Tinubu said the bill was presented in line with constitutional and legislative appropriation procedures. He explains that the proposal seeks approval to issue a total of 43.5 trillion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation account for the financial year ending December 31st, 2025. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezoki reports.
It's a week dominated by figures at the upper chamber as the Senate begins by considering a review of the 2025 budget to 43.5 trillion naira. A correspondence from President Bola Tinubu is read by the Senate President.
The bill seeks to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation of the sum of 561 billion, 41 million, 744 million and 507 naira.
The proposed expenditure framework comprises 1.74 trillion naira for statutory transfers, 8.27 trillion naira for debt service, 11.27 trillion for recurrent non-debt expenditure, and 22.28 trillion naira for capital expenditure. The same letter is equally read for the first time on the floor of the House of Representatives. The bill subsequently passed second reading in both chambers.
I move that the Senate do suspend its Rule 78(1) in order to read the bill for a second time. Second reading taken.
Outrage. Lawmakers move on to another motion introduced as urgent.
Deeply troubled that sewage systems across the FCT have been blocked and overflowing for nearly 8 months, with accumulated waste and untreated emissions now reaching catastrophic levels. The Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has allegedly proceeded with demolitions, revocations and reallocations in flagrant disregard of subsisting court processes.
No sooner had she finished than lawmakers began to lambaste what they described as the lumping together of several unrelated issues in a single motion, which is at variance with the Senate's rules.
We have seen something about demolition. We have seen something about depletion of the University of Abuja land. We have seen that she did not comply with Order 41 because you told us that she didn't brief you. You were not seized of the details of this motion. She only talked about waste management. She didn't talk about all the other things when she discussed with you.
Senator Kingibe was given the opportunity to withdraw the motion and resubmit it as a substantive motion limited strictly to waste management issues.
Now, separately, the Senate leader has presented the report of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on National Security Summit, declaring the conclusion of its nationwide security assessment. They recommend stronger, improved intelligence sharing as part of solutions to socio-economic causes of insecurity ahead of its planned national summit in early 2026. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News. Meanwhile, a coalition of opposition parties in Nigeria under the umbrella of Nigeria Opposition Movement are asking President Bola Tinubu to immediately suspend the implementation of new tax laws, which will take effect in January 2026. Speaking during a press conference in Abuja, the group alleges that the new tax regime is exploitative and targeted at catering for the oligarchs of the society and not the ordinary Nigerian. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, reports.
He is committed.
This is a gathering of members of various opposition parties in Nigeria, including members of the People's Democratic Party, Action Democratic Congress, Labour Party, amongst others.
Thank you very much. We need another family voice here.
They've converged under the aegis of the Nigeria Opposition Movement, and their core focus is to call on the federal government to suspend the implementation of the new tax laws, which is expected to take effect from January 2026.
Tinubu administration.
Citing some of the clauses of the 2025 tax law, the spokesperson of the group alleges that the new tax law is exploitative and does not cater to the needs of ordinary Nigerians.
President Tinubu is not focused on governance. He is focused on brazen exploitation. We reject this task because the timing is cruel and the logic is irrational. Fuel subsidy removal, Naira collapse, food inflation, and rising electricity tariffs have already pushed households and small business to the edge.
In the instance where their demands are not met, the group discloses their next line of action.
Every resistance that is within the ambit of the law will be explored. Every resistance that is constitutional.
Other members of the group also take turns to call on the government of the day to focus on delivering good governance.
They promised that if they remove the subsidy, they would have money enough to provide infrastructure for us. Today, ASU is going on strike because nothing is provided for them, signifying the possible collapse of the educational system. Today, the resident doctors are proceeding on strike. The only thing we are pleading with Nigerians is that if they don't rise up to save our democracy, the next thing that will collapse is democracy.
The group calls for support from citizens to sign a petition on the subject using the website www.jop.ng. Furthermore, they promise to resist any policy that punishes the poor in the society. From Abuja, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Nigeria Labour Congress NLC stages nationwide protest demanding government action over rising insecurity across various parts of the country. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Farouk Ahmed resigns as Managing Director of NMDPRA amid corruption allegations by Dangote Group Chairman Aliko Dangote, while Gbenga Komolafe also steps down as Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. United States announces new partial travel restrictions on Nigeria and other countries effective January 2026, cites security concerns, vetting challenges, and insufficient information sharing. President Bola Tinubu writes Senate's request repeal and reenactment of 2024-2025 Appropriation Act for expedited approval. And Russian President Vladimir Putin lashes out at Ukraine's European allies, warns that Russia will seize territory by force if necessary. A member of the House of Representatives, Mr. Abdulsamad Dasuki, has raised alarm that the new tax law, as signed by President Bola Tinubu, is different from what was passed by the National Assembly. Honorable Dasuki raised this during plenary, stating that the gazetted copy of the new tax law in circulation is different in some clauses from the harmonized version passed by both chambers of the National Assembly. The lawmaker was assured by the Speaker that the House would look into it. Meanwhile, the House has commenced voting on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
The House of Representatives begins with a consideration of the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper received from President Bola Tinubu 48 hours ago. Interestingly, the process is cut short due to concerns raised on some of the parameters proposed in the report, which would affect revenue generation for the 2026 budget.
We want to move that we will step down to allow us to review and come back to you with the reports.
Moving on, a matter of privilege is raised by a lawmaker concerning the new tax laws.
We passed the tax laws on this floor. And Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted pass copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have all the copies, but I'm coming under privilege because I was here, I gave my vote, and it was counted, and I'm seeing something completely different.
Your observation is noted and action will be taken. I assure you that.
The House then turns its attention to the much-anticipated Electoral Act amendment. Concerns are raised on several proposals, one of which deals with disqualification of candidates.
Some people do not want to participate in a fair play election. They will prepare themselves and to seize the election in the court. So we have to be very, very careful. So my suggestion, Mr. Speaker, when a court find out that a candidate is being disqualified, this matter should be referred to INEC to conduct election in that particular area rather than to give the court power to determine who becomes second.
Another clause seeking to address concerns around accompanying a voter into the voter compartment also receives mixed reactions from the House.
When you go through this, no sanction was written for whoever that led the physically placed person, maybe the blind man or anybody that is not okay to cast his or her vote.
Why should the law restrict me in assisting my party member from voting me?
No, there is a level to every assistance.
No,
this amendment is to exclude certain category of people who are capable of influencing the vote of that person they are to hate.
Subsequently, the House maintains the clause that no political party agent, candidate or party official shall be permitted to accompany a voter into the voting compartment. Other amendments approved so far include that the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the IRF portal in real time. Also approved is the compulsory use of national identity number for voter registration, as well as 10 years imprisonment without option of fine of electoral officers who willfully violate certain provisions of the Electoral Act. The consideration process was subsequently halted to resume the following day. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, and their civil society allies have staged a protest in the Federal Capital Territory, demanding immediate solution to the rising security challenges affecting Nigeria. The Abuja protest is led by the NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajaero, who decried the deteriorating security situation in the country, especially as workers and students become regular victims of the menace. The protest in Abuja happened under the tight security supervision of a combined team of police, Department of State Services, and the Army.
The president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ajaero, and his civil society allies are leading this protest in Abuja. After this rallying charge by the NLC president, he addresses journalists on their core demands for the federal government.
This protest is to call attention on the seriousness of both financial and fiscal insecurity. And you can see from him even agreeing to talk with us yesterday, he's getting momentum. And as we progress, the awareness and consciousness will be created. So I don't see why, people will try to demarcate themselves, not the NLC.
Around the NLC secretariat, there is heavy deployment of security personnel. Some of the civil society allies also speak on their reasons for joining the protest.
You tell me which region of Nigeria is safe? None. If you go to the southeast, it's unsafe. You go to the southwest, it's unsafe. You go to the northwest, it's completely under siege. You go to the northeast, it's completely been taken over. In terms of even territory, Nigeria has lost almost 30% of its territory to non-state actors. It looks like everything has broken down irretrievably, and we have a duty to keep conscientizing and mobilizing Nigerian people.
After about 2 hours of waiting for instructions from their leaders, the Deputy General Secretary of the NLC emerged and organized the workers for the protest.
While our leaders are still out there dialoguing.
As the protesters file out of their secretariat, they were guided by armed security operatives. After about a 10-minute walk from the NLC secretariat, the protesting workers are stopped by operatives from the police, Civil Defense Corps, and the Army, who had barricaded the road, forcing the protesters to return to their secretariat. The Nigeria Labour Congress had last week announced its decision to embark on a nationwide protest to demand the government's decisive action to address the growing insecurity across the country, which has manifested in the form of kidnappings, banditry, and terrorism.
And still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria Customs begins penalty enforcement against designated banks over failure to remit revenue within agreed timelines. So that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Let's head over to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Terry Kumi is standing by to bring us more stories. Hello, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. Governor Umar of Interior of Adamawa State plans to set up a judicial panel of inquiry To investigate the December 8 alleged shooting of women holding a protest against attacks in their communities in Lamode local government area of the state. The governor made this known during his visit to the communities affected by the recent communal crisis, where he assured the people of a transparent investigation to uncover the root causes of the crisis and also ensure justice for the victims. The West African Container Terminal has trained and empowered 364 residents of their two host communities of Ogu and Onne River State in business and entrepreneurial development as part of its corporate social responsibility to host communities.
Put together by the West Africa Container Terminal, WACT, the 6-month training program was designed to improve business knowledge and expand economic opportunities for participants, most of whom are women in their host communities of Ogu and Onne in River State.
Thank you very much.
At the ceremony, the managing director of WACT, represented by the senior people's business partner, Chinelo Obianyem, explains that the initiative reflects the company's long-term commitment to sustainable community development.
Over 6 months, they covered critical topics such as merchandising, customer relations, record keeping, supply chain management, credit sales, sources of finance, integrity in business, cash flow management, amongst many other topics.
Lending their voices, the WACT Community Relations Manager encourages the beneficiaries to apply their newly acquired skills, while the chairman of the Ogu Council of Chiefs appreciates the company for prioritizing women empowerment in the community.
It is not money that makes your business to grow, but your ability to manage your business, the little money that you have.
For you to have empowered this number in my community, we would not take you for granted.
Participants at the program described the training as impactful and well coordinated, noting that it had broadened their understanding of business development and management.
With the help of this training, I was able to manage my business well. I was able to feed myself. I have children. I was able to fend for them too. So I believe this business training has done a lot for me.
There are things that I've learned in this training that will also not just be a business strategy, but will be part of my habits.
The event also featured the presentation of certificates and starter packs, including tables, chairs, umbrellas, and business manuals. In total, 600 people have benefited from the WACT Premier program across Ogu and Onne communities. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Now, in a major public-private partnership agreement, the Julie Rose Hotel and Suites has officially opened its doors to the public for business. The hotel, located within the University of Port Harcourt, promises to bring a new wave of hospitality to the campus and its environs.
It's the grand opening of Julie Rose Hotel and Suites, located within the Abuja campus of the University of Port Harcourt, River State, and in attendance are university dons, traditional rulers, and other top dignitaries. The chairman and CEO of Oil Quest Group, owners of the hotel, explains why they decided to diversify into hospitality.
Our decision to expand the frontiers of our business from a strong base foundation in the oil and gas sector to a consolidated group structure was driven by a clear vision to diversify, to innovate, to create sustainable value across multiple industries.
The Pro-Chancellor of the University, Mao Ohabunwa, lauds the developments as a huge milestone in the university's history.
When we came in as a council, this place was moribund. This place was dead. Nothing was happening here, and nothing ever happened. My colleagues and I, at that point, came together and thought of ways. And one of the low-hanging fruits that we could identify was this place. Because we couldn't see any reason why an edifice like this should be left rotting away.
As guests are conducted around the facility, the traditional ruler talks about the project's significance, while the Deputy Vice-Chancellor says the institution is looking at alternative funding sources.
It's a partnership. As long as both of them keep to the terms of the MOU and agreement for benefit of everybody, it will be a win-win show and it's worth emulating.
According to the directive of the federal government at the inauguration of the Governing Council, to look for ways to generate funds. The university is poised to doing that. And we have resuscitated as it were a resuscitation of our investment program.
With 180 rooms, Julie Rose Hotel boasts of luxurious rooms, well-equipped gyms, indoor football pitch, amid other facilities. It promises good value at a very affordable rate.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. Business News is next with Dominic.
Thank you, Terry. And on business news, the National Economic Council has constituted a committee on livestock development to speed up the implementation of livestock production in Nigeria. The committee, chaired by Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State, was set up during an emergency meeting of the National Economic Council, which held its meeting virtually and was chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. The committee is expected to prefer lasting solutions to the age-long farmer-herder crisis in the country and boost food security. Now, the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) says it has commenced enforcement of penalties against designated banks that fail to remit collected customs revenue within agreed timelines. In a statement issued today by its National Public Relations Officer Abdullahi Maiwada, the Customs Service explains that the enforcement action is in line with the service-level agreement signed between the NCS and designated banks, which clearly stipulates timelines for the remittance of customs revenue. And back home to the stock market, over 255 billion naira is gained today as the investors sustain positive sentiment in 37 equities. Lyd Williams tells us more.
And welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, finally, we have some action this week. We see the all-share index adding 0.26%, and it's with strong momentum, today when you look at the volume and value of trades there. We see about 216 billion naira worth of trades. Volume, that's up about 400%. So we see investors were, quite eager today. Market cap, 95 trillion naira. Let's look at the Guinness chart now. We see Lasaco Assurance PLC, that's in financial services, leading with a 10% advance, 2 naira 75 Kobo. We also have Veritas Capital, 1 naira 76 Kobo, up 10%. Prestige Insurance there, 1 naira 65. So, definitely looking at the top gainers, it's an insurance thing. Insurance day right there for most of his stocks there, topping the counter today. Then we see Living Trust, that's 3 naira 15, down 10% there, one of the big drops there. Mignicol, 6.90% down. So, definitely looking at the Guinness chart, it seems the bull has some insurance to come out and play this week.
Thank you, Lydie. Now let's take a look at the closing numbers of major global stock markets for Wednesday. And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. And still to come on the news at 10, Russian President Vladimir Putin lashes out at Ukraine's European allies, warns that Russia will seize territory by force if necessary. And that's on the foreign scene. Please join us again.
Commodore Aromatic Schnapps is a beauty to behold, a true representation of today's man. Behind every success story is a spirit of blessings, and that comes with a new look Commodore Aromatic Schnapps. When great things happen, we gather with the spirit of answered prayers and dedicate our very own as we pray for their endeavors. Ashe. Made from distinctive quality ingredients by Intercontinental Distillers Limited. Commodore Aromatic Schnapps, the spirit of answered prayers.
Bro, na transfer. Na money point, Oga.
No worries, I've go make am. Mo go buy ball.
Victor, even you, they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Since Nigeria's independence, we have been building, but beyond roads and bridges, we built aspirations to connect and to unite across geographical divides. Beyond houses, we built strong families and relationships. Beyond offices, we built foundations for forging Africa's formidable economic powerhouse. Beyond schools, we built social, intellectual, and national development. Beyond hospitals, we built healthy and productive communities. Beyond sports facilities, we built the passion of a nation. And today, we are not just a leader in sustainable building solutions and innovation. Together, you and us have built the foundations of yesterday and today. Together, we'll build the next possibilities. Lafarge, beyond buildings.
Eniola, calm down.
Calm down? What if I ruin everything? Auntie Amina is coming. Just pass the beef and dawa cubes. No, Hassan. With Mr. Chef, it's a two-finger crush. Chef of life. I am the chef of life. Chef of life with Mr. Chef.
Eniola, you've got this.
Sanu Mama, Sanu Baba.
Hassan, why do you look so lean?
I am the chef of life.
With Mr. Chef, a simple crush turns meals into culture and moments into memories.
This is a true taste of home.
And culture.
Yeah.
Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
Chef of life.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Let's now join Simon Pusif with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Naveed Akram, the surviving suspect in Sunday's mass shooting at Bondi Beach in Sydney, has been charged with 59 offences, including 15 counts of murder and one of committing a terrorist act. The 24-year-old was critically injured during the incident. His father, Sajid Akram, was killed in an exchange of fire with police at the scene. 15 people were killed and dozens of others injured in the attack, which targeted Australia's Jewish community at an event celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. It was the country's deadliest shooting since 1996.
It was the heart and soul of the synagogue.
The first of the funerals for victims of the shootings has taken place in Sydney, with thousands gathering to mourn Rabbi Eli Schlanger. He was among the 15 people killed. Australia's Prime Minister said that the attackers appear to have been inspired by Islamic State. Rabbi Schlanger, who was known as the Bondi Rabbi and had helped organise Sunday's event, was born in the UK. His wife gave birth to their 5th child just 2 months ago. Investigators searching for the killer who opened fire at a Brown University lecture hall have released new footage of a person they believe may be linked to the attack. 4 days after the gunman killed 2 people and injured 9 others, officials still haven't identified a suspect, leaving the community on edge. On Tuesday, police released enhanced footage of a person dressed in dark colours walking near the university 2 hours before the attack took place. Officials are appealing for patience as the investigation proceeds and have asked local residents to check security cameras to see if they have any footage of the suspicious person of interest. US President Donald Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela, a move that Caracas has denounced as warmongering threats. Trump wrote that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government had been designated a foreign terrorist organization, which had also engaged in drug smuggling and human trafficking. His remarks come after the US seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela last week, a move that was seen as significant given Venezuela's reliance on oil. A popular South African radio and club DJ has been shot dead in the country's largest city, Johannesburg, sending shock waves across the nation grappling with entrenched crime. Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, was gunned down in the city centre on Tuesday afternoon. Police said the 40-year-old media personality was approached by 3 suspects, one of whom opened fire on him before fleeing on foot. The motive of the shooting is unknown and no arrests have yet been made.
From the video footages which we viewed all over the place here, it came clear that there were about 3 people who were involved in the whole thing. But the one who shot him is having dreadlocks on the head, and the one who was with him after he shot, it's somebody wearing something that replicates security uniform.
The UK Prime Minister has said Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich must pay up now to victims of the war in Ukraine or face court action. The former owner of Chelsea Football Club pledged in 2022 that the £2.5 billion he made from the sale of the club would be used to benefit the victims of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But there has been a delay in releasing the funds, which are currently frozen in a British bank account due to a standoff over exactly how they should be used. The government wants the money to be used for humanitarian aid, but Mr. Abramovich insisted it should be used for all victims of the war.
My message to Abramovich is this: the clock is ticking. Honour the commitment that you made and pay up now. And if you don't, we're prepared to go to court so every penny reaches those whose lives have been torn apart by Putin's illegal war.
And the Iron Scow, a 107-year-old wreck stranded above Niagara Falls since 1918, has shifted downstream and is slowly breaking apart. Wrecked more than 100 years ago, when 2 men plunged off the Horseshoe Falls, the scow has become a powerful symbol of the fall's history and natural force. In 2022, the barge broke into several parts due to erosion. Last month, the bow of the scow dislodged and moved further downstream, and the boat is now slowly deteriorating, according to local experts. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's most capped international, Ahmed Musa, has officially announced his retirement from international football, bringing to an end a distinguished career with the Super Eagles of Nigeria that spanned nearly 15 years. In a heartfelt, Mrs. Musa reflected on a journey that began when he was a young player, juggling call-ups to Nigeria's under-20, under-23 and senior national teams. Well, the player earned 111 caps for the Super Eagles, a record that makes him the most capped player in the history of Nigerian football. FIFA has confirmed $50 million will be up for grabs for the winning nation at next summer's World Cup as a rollover ticket prices for the tournament rages on. The total World Cup prize fund of $655 million represents an increase of almost 50% from the $440 million distributed to teams taking part in the last tournament in Qatar in 2022. More stories for you. Former Uruguay striker Luis Suarez has signed a contract with Inter Miami for the upcoming season. Suarez, who turns 39 in January, joined Lionel Messi's outfit in 2024 before helping the club to the 2025 MLS Cup and Eastern Conference Trophy. The former Barcelona, Liverpool and Atletico Madrid attacker won the Champions League, La Liga and the League Cup during his time in Europe. Undefeated world super middleweight champion Terence Crawford has announced his retirement from boxing, hanging up his gloves 3 months after a career-defining victory over Saul Alvarez. Crawford, who dominated Mexican legend Alvarez in Las Vegas in September to claim the undisputed super middleweight crown, announced his decision in a video posted on social media. And that's sports news. I'm Kelly. Giga is back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Farouk Ahmed has resigned as managing director of NMDPRA amid corruption allegations by Dangote Group chairman Aliko Dangote, while Gbenga Komolafe has stepped down as chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. United States has announced new partial travel restrictions on Nigeria and other countries effective January 2026, cites security concerns, vetting challenges, and insufficient information sharing. President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate and requested repeal and reenactment of 2024-2025 Appropriation Acts for expedited approval. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night and please stay safe.